Hey, Linda. Hello, everybody. Here we are, Saturday night, 8 p.m. Central
Can't
Time,
hear you, Steve.
6 p.m. Pacific Time. And Linda's having some technical issues. So we got a really good show today, and we got a very special guest on, and we have a very special talking point. And it's been going around. You guys might be surprised. And I don't know what's going on here with Linda, because just a minute ago, everything was working. She says, hi, everybody.
Can't hear you.
We hear you. All right.
I can't hear anything.
And I'm going to bring Roman up. And Roman, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good.
And I can hear Linda too.
So can I. So you can say hi to everybody. Can you hear Roman, Linda? Nope, guess not.
Nope.
All right. I'm going to figure out how to ask her how to go down and come back up again.
I'll do it for you.
Okay. Yeah. Type that in for me. Anyway, we've got a very, very good guest, a very special guest that's going to be up here in just a few, but we want to really get the ball rolling. Look at Rue. Look at her. Everybody remembers her when she came in. She was abused, and that was a problem. Okay. Please don't abuse dogs, because you don't have to. All right. And so we're going to get Linda fixed up here so she can hear what we're talking about. I could be talking bad about her right now. She'd never know it until she watched the rerun. Now we can't hear Linda. So anyway, but she's reading Roman's messaging her. So we'll get her back online here real quick. But in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and bring our guest up, and then we will we'll showcase Rue, and then we're going to go into our talking points. Hi, Melody.
Applause.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
We can hear you, Linda. Yes.
Okay.
Oh,
Great.
you're back?
I
I'm
can
back.
hear everyone.
All right. Yeah. Well, we didn't want to start featuring Rue if you couldn't hear us. Okay. That's why I brought Melody up. So we're going to talk with Melody just for a couple minutes. Then we're going to get with Rue. And isn't she gorgeous, Melody?
She's awesome. She's a beautiful dog.
Melody, for those folks that don't know Melody, Melody founded, right?
Yeah.
A facility. I'm actually got it up. There's Melody's website right there. It's called The Pet Connection. In how many locations?
We have 3 locations right now.
Okay. And you do more than just training and behavior, don't you?
Yes, we're basically a rescue humane society, but we have a behavioral focus. Most of our people are behavioral trainers or animal behaviorists of sorts, and we only rescue very special needs behavioral dogs. So even our volunteers, we have to do a lot of training with them as well.
Okay. Wow. So if you guys you're in the Kansas City area.
Yes, we are.
Except one of them, I just found out that that's what'd you say, 40 miles out?
Beloit. It's about 4 hours outside of Kansas City.
Okay, that's more than 40 miles.
Yep, more than 40 miles, 4 hours. Yeah. You got 4 right.
Yeah. So if you're in the Kansas City area, you live there, and you need Linda or Melody services there, there's how you do it right there. And we'll bring this all back up.
Yeah.
Right. And we'll post a link in the comments after the show, or maybe we'll do it after the show. That way we can get them, make sure it gets into the other places too. But anyway, so let's go back with our star of the show. All right.
He's talking about you.
So we made a new video for her. We may as well play it, huh? Or is she getting Yancey here?
She's good.
Okay. So we'll play Rue's video. Quite a long video, Linda.
Yeah, it was a great video though.
Yes, it was. Wow, that's a different dog.
She is a different dog. She's
Wow.
so great. She's so social and friendly, and she's completely potty trained. She walks beautifully on a leash. She gets along great with all the dogs. She just, she will stand her ground, when she needs to, but she's also very, when she'll take correction very well from the other dogs in the home. My female Pyrenees will correct her, and she listens. She does well.
Awesome. So she warmed up with, she picked Lauren, right? Rue did.
Mhm.
And that was, we had to get her to feel safe with somebody to turn to.
Yes.
And, but now here we are just a couple of months later. I mean, you're fixing to tell everybody the big thing here.
Mhm.
What is it?
Uh,
She's ready for adoption.
She is ready for adoption. Yes, I do. Rue loves other dogs. But I know she does prefer my male dogs. Even though she gets along really, really well with my female Pyrenees, she has a really special bond with my Max. So it's just an incredible bond.
And Matt can't go with her.
She leaned on him for everything in the beginning. I didn't want them to bond so tightly that she didn't need me for anything.
So you're going to send Max out with her?
Oh, no. It's going to be hard enough letting her go.
Is she going to get along okay with Maverick?
Absolutely.
There you
Without
go.
a doubt. Yes.
Get your application. It sounds like maybe a prior adopter or someone that knows you.
Yes,
Okay.
she is.
So that might make life might make the adoption process a little bit easier.
Yeah, she would be a go.
So there you go. Now you have it. But get your apps in just in case, because now that she's ready to be adopted, she's not going to stick around.
Mm-hmm. And she's not. I mean, people sometimes they think she's a Pyrenees puppy. First off, she's an Akbash. There's no question to me. This is an Akbash right here. So she does have a lot of energy, and she needs to get that energy out. You can't just kennel her or, contain her. She has a lot of energy that she needs to get out during the day.
She has learned a trick, though, hasn't she? She's learned how to spin in circles on command. I saw it on video. It's true.
Yes. She's a great dog.
This is another one of Linda's family members that you folks haven't met.
Yes, this is Debbie. She's my daughter-in-law. She's married to my oldest son.
Mm-hmm.
They have both of my grandsons. And Debbie is going to be a very important person to our facility when it is built. She has a lot behind her. She has grooming behind her. She's worked with a lot of horses, horse rescue. And she has a really unique way with dogs too. So she's going to be very important to us.
Now you just let the cat out of the bag. What are you talking about facility? Nobody ever heard of anything like this. So what is it that you're talking about?
The facility that will be built in the next several months here on our property. We have 23 acres, and we'll be able to bring in 10 dogs at a time. Which is really great for me, Steve, because I want to be able to bring in, part of our topic tonight is behavioral dogs. And this way we can work with them here.
So you just heard it for the first time right here. Linda's building a facility, and I will be going out there.
Yes.
If I still remember how to work with them in person. Right.
Yes. Steve will be here.
Did we ever forget how to work in person, Roman? Never mind. He's going black. He's having internet problems tonight. He's having it both on his Starlink and his cellular.
Stick around, Roman. Stop leaving every 5 seconds.
Yeah. So, because we got a topic to talk to about tonight. Now,
We do.
let's just assume for a minute that Maverick's not going to be Rue's brother. And what kind of home would you want her to go?
So I think she does need another dog in the home. She does love to play with other dogs. She has a really good relationship with other dogs. A family would be okay. I don't recommend small children in the home, not because of her temperament, but because she is, she can get crazy. She can. I mean, I'm just putting. She can jump high and run really fast, and she can take a 3-year-old out from underneath his legs, out from underneath him in a heartbeat. And I mean, my kids, that happened to my kids when they were little. I'm like, okay, well, you got to get out of the way. But, most mothers would be like, no, it hurt my kid. So I don't recommend small children for Rue at this time, only because of her energy level.
Unless you plan on getting rid of the kids, then by all means.
Yeah.
So she can jump high. So what kind of fence are you looking at for her?
I think Rue probably, well, so I have a 5-foot chain link, and she has no desire. She's never tried to go over it. She doesn't even jump on it. So, would she do that in her new adoptive home? I don't know. So, if you have a 6-foot, that'd probably be best for her. I would hate to see her.
And a good relationship with her. So
Yeah.
she wants to stay home. Now, because of her age, she probably wouldn't qualify for a leash-only home.
I'm sorry, Steve, I missed that.
Because of her age, she wouldn't qualify to be in a leash-only home.
No, she needs to be able to get out and run.
She needs a fence.
lot. Yeah,
Yes.
for sure. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because there for a little while the contractors out there at your place in St. Clair, Missouri were lollygagging around, not putting your fence in, she was actually in a leash-only home.
Yeah, she was on a tie out for an hour or so a day, and then she was walked most of the time. But she had so much energy when she came in. When she gets out in that yard and she runs that fence, she's all over it.
Yeah.
She needs to be able to do that.
But she's been staying she's never gone over to the wrong side of the fence, right?
Never.
That's awesome.
Never. But I'm not saying she wouldn't, is what I mean. I've seen her jump. You see that? You see those legs?
Look at those legs.
Yeah. She can jump.
And she's still a baby.
And she is a baby. Mm-hmm.
A beautiful baby at that.
But man, the sweetest temperament you'll ever see.
Every Akbash I've ever known, and I've known, 21 now, I think. And everyone I've ever known, when the threat comes, boom, there's that light switch, and they go eliminate the threat. They'll actually leave the flock, unlike the Pyrenees. And then when the threat's gone, the light switch seems to go out. And
if Amazon comes into the yard, if somebody comes into the yard that doesn't belong here, Rue has a very distinct, very deep bark to let us know that there's someone here that doesn't belong here.
Okay. What about cats?
She does great with cats. She's very curious. I have 3 older cats. In the very beginning, she would chase them. But my cats, we have 5 Pyrenees, so she's nothing to them.
And the cats are still alive.
Yeah. So they turned around and smacked her a couple times. So she learned real quick not to pounce or run after them anymore. She's more curious to see my older cat rub up against her the other day. And Rue just stood there. So she does great with cats.
Wow. And I hear rumors that she does well with bunny rabbits too.
She loves bunny rabbits. Mm-hmm.
While she was healing from all of her abuse, she got to live with 2 of them in her very own bedroom with her,
she did.
foster mom.
And she protected those bunny rabbits too.
That was her first job.
I think they were healing to her. Yes, they were very healing to her.
That was her first job when she stopped being abused. That was her first job.
Mm-hmm.
And we kind of stumbled on that one. Now I've got a real long one up here, and I'm hoping Roman has been reading it or Melody has been reading it because I'm not sure what it was. So we're going to take a second here and look at it. Oh, I thought it was a question for Rue. Oh, it might be about Rue. Oh, he was a bait dog. I have a funny story about that. Out here in Ohio, where I'm at, we have a little town just southeast of me that they have a fight ring. They had a fight ring going on there, and they were very elusive. 2 years had gone by at that time, and they still hadn't been able to catch them and break it up. Well, they got an Akbosh as a bait dog. They thought it was a yellow lab, and they had to call 911 because of the Akbosh went into survival mode and didn't come back out for a while. I actually got involved in that one. I went down and calmed the dog down, tried to take him home, but he was part of a court case now. And, but he killed 2 of their pit bulls because they tried to kill him. All right. And he was not playing around, but then he couldn't get back out of his survival response.
Yeah.
And that'll happen, especially when your life is threatened in that many ways. And then he went after the humans. So basically, the fighting ring busted themselves because they got the wrong bait dog. And make no mistake, a lot of these fighting rings will pick on the Great Pyrenees as bait dogs because, God, I'm going to love this. I'm going to get feedback on this. You can see the blood better on a white dog. That's the reason.
That's why I'm working with my dog.
Yeah, Manny, right? Yeah, your audio, something wrong with your, it's got to be, that was audio, or it could have been internet related. Anyway, moving forward. So GpRescue.com, Rue's up there listed. All right. And that's amazing because what I saw a couple months ago and what I see now, that's 2 different dogs. And she's a stinker, just like the video said, but she's that's good. She's still a puppy.
She's crazy Rue.
Yeah, crazy Rue.
Crazy Rue.
GpRescue.com. And by the way, Rue, we have a situation going on countrywide right now. Okay. We're getting a lot of dogs in. Everybody is. Our own news channel here in Springfield, Ohio covered that too. And because it's not just rescues, it's shelters and SPCAs, which I guess are shelters. And what a beautiful dog you have there. By the way, if dogs do something cute,
hello,
gonna be a star.
Yes, hello.
hello, buddy.
So,
This is Blue.
hi, Blue.
Oh, hi, Blue.
Yeah,
We didn't
he's
really
got
plan this part, okay? Blue did. He
Yes.
he had notes
This
taken.
is the
already.
best.
Yep. He
But
couldn't
anyway,
stand it any longer.
anyway, let's go back to where we were starting. So we have a situation going on where just, man, dogs are getting surrendered, request to be surrendered. And when they can't take them, then some people are just abandoning them. We have 2 on the waiting list right now, Mama and Tucker, that, well, their family moved away, left them behind.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you move, don't leave them behind. If you have to leave them behind, don't move yet. Okay. There's help out there. I promise you there's help out there. Okay. Don't abandon your dogs because now the neighbor was feeding these 2 and, well, I don't know why, but they're moving, but she was never obligated to these dogs. They weren't her dogs or his dogs, whatever the case may be. And then what happens there is then we get a dog like Marigold and her mom goes into hospice. That's the only parent. And now what happens to her? We can't take them because, well, all these other people, my dogs weren't perfect, so they got rid of them. And we filled up with them and can't take a dog like Marigold because we have no fosters. Every foster is full. So, man, and these are weird times right now. We need fosters more than ever. It's not just us. Okay. You know, it's shelters and, you know, I mean, you don't have to You don't have to volunteer with a rescue. Go to your shelter. They would love to have you, maybe, if you're not a bad guy. Right. But we need help. We can't do this alone.
We desperately need fosters. I get at least 3 calls a day for owner surrenders. And that's just calls. I mean, we get emails, we get message on All About Dogs page. I mean, it's just every single day, multiple dogs a day needing rescue. And, it's the hardest thing for us to, say we can't help. I mean, we do our best. We take the information, we take the dog's bio as much as we can. We share it, we reach out to other rescues, but all the other rescues are in the same boat we are. We're all full. There's not enough of us. There's too many of them.
And if you foster, the rescue buys the food, pays the vet, pays the bills, the vet bills, the meds, so it's not going to cost you anything. We do ask that you enrich the dogs, teach them good manners and whatever. But and then I have an answer and I hear this often. Probably Linda hears it more than me. I can't foster because I would never be able to give them up. Okay, so what? This is one of the jobs that if you fail at, that's not a bad thing.
Yeah. You
We're
can
here
foster.
to adopt
We'll allow that.
Yeah. So just in order to qualify, you have to apply. All right. Don't have a fence. Sometimes we get dogs that a fence is nothing more than a false sense of security. So that doesn't mean you can't get a dog. We don't have a fence climber at the time, then no, you may have to wait, but they're here. Okay. They're around, and they're boundary dogs, but they like to, they didn't get the memo. All right. The key to a guardian breed is their job. Okay. So, and doesn't have to include livestock. Right. If you partner with your dog, then dog has somebody. Well, anyway, we're not going to go into training methods here. Do you have anything to add about Miss Rue, Linda?
No, just that she is ready for her forever family. The longer she's with us, the more that she bonds, which makes it harder for her when she goes, which always worries me. When a foster has a dog, including myself, as the founder, if I have a dog too long, it starts to concern me. I worry about that transition and the grieving of her family. It worries me. So, but we can't help it. I mean, I'm very strict with my requirements, as far as adopting one of our dogs, and it certainly has to be the right family for her.
Right.
And at the bottom of hers, I know I've mentioned it before, but must walk on water to be able to adopt Rue.
And $1 million adoption fee. If
Yes.
I remember right.
Yes. It's my $1 million baby. Yes.
Rue has been through a lot, and you would never know
She
it right
has.
now. So,
But she's okay. Rue is okay.
she's because if she wasn't okay, we wouldn't be having this conversation on the show tonight. So anyway, there you are, and there's transport available if Maverick doesn't get a sister anyway. By the way, for those of you that foster or you come on to foster, and those of you that have adopted to us before, the foster gets first dibs on the dog, right, Linda?
Yes. Yeah,
Right.
fosters always get first dibs on the dog. I don't wait forever for you to make a decision, but
Yeah, the dog can't come in as a puppy and be a
and leave
senior.
it 3.
Yeah.
You don't get 3 years to think about it, but fosters always get first dibs.
So Linda takes care of her volunteers in her mind. That's her family too. So.
Yes.
And she treats everybody that way.
Yes.
So GpRescue.com, that's where you go. And also out of GpRescue.com, I always tell everybody the volunteers make it happen, but every one of you that donates even $1 make it possible. Okay. All right. So the donors make it possible. And if you can't, that's just fine. But the volunteers make it happen. Fosters really make it happen, because we've got 6 dogs that we showed you. All right. Out of how long's our waiting list? Because Linda said the waiting list is as long as her arm, and I've never measured her arm.
Yeah, it's pretty long, Steve.
All right.
There's
A lot of
really-
dogs.
The dogs are not even making the waiting list.
Yeah. Anytime they get I mean, we're all busy. I mean, they get a dog that's being surrendered for behavior. The application, a lot of times, comes to me. All right.
Mhm.
My job is to keep the dogs in the homes, if we can. Now, if you're, if I go into rescue mode because you shouldn't have a stuffed animal, yep, we're going to take your dog. We'll figure something out. But man, that little gal up there in Indiana, her name was Marigold. That she looked like an Anatolian pure mix. Her mom is dying, and did I hear she actually went into hospice now? Or
Yeah. Yeah, she has cancer and she's in
we're
hospice.
trying everywhere. Everybody is full. We
Mhm.
can't stay full. Okay. So if you help us foster, now we're not full.
Right.
And just know, it's not just us; it's everyone. It's all
Yes.
rescues across the country.
Yep.
So it's not a Missouri problem. It's a nationwide problem.
Right.
And not to mention adoptions are also down.
Right. And also too, you don't have to live in Missouri to foster.
No.
Okay. We have fosters in Illinois. We have fosters in Iowa and Kansas. We even have a foster right here in Ohio.
Mhm.
Okay. So, I mean, if we can get the dog to you, there's a possibility you can foster. Okay. Or adopt. Usually those are adopters, but you know, we need help. We're up to, everybody is working 7 days a week, every waking hour.
Mhm.
Okay. Are you having something similar over there in Kansas, Melody?
Absolutely. Because we do behavioral dogs only, we are always operating off of a waiting list and trying to get in the next dog that's in a bad situation as fast as possible.
Do you have somebody at your facility that does what I do, try to keep the dogs in their homes?
Absolutely. That is our primary goal, is to try and keep the dogs in the home. We have 7 trainers. And so anytime somebody's going to relinquish a dog to us or is having trouble and needs to rehome, then one of the trainers is going to be reaching out to them about, what can we do to even if they're going to keep the dog while we're trying to find a home, sometimes they need that behavioral intervention anyway, just to do maintenance and to keep everyone safe until we can safely move the dog.
Right. And wow, that's and how many dogs do you have right now?
I have 31 in my facility here in Beloit. We are currently servicing another 200 dogs in the Kansas City metro area.
Wow.
So, but they're not all in our care. We help other humane societies and rescue groups who don't have training support. So we do a lot of assessments for them and go to their shelters and to their foster homes and provide services there, just to help them have that, professionals that they can pull from,
And
They've helped us, Steve. Our rescue have reached out
yes.
also. So yes.
And
that's
that,
so wonderful.
we do plan on doing that. Roman kind of started that with me anyway. We're going to go to the shelters and teach the staff other ways to handle the dogs, reactive,
Yes.
fearful, and stuff like that. We give them that knowledge that the dogs got a better chance, much better chance of surviving the shelter.
Right. We do a lot of that. We just recently did a big seminar at the Wichita Humane Society at KHS and, provided them with some behavior, just basic how to read behavior and basic handling. And, Best Friends came out to Beloit last year and was really, talking to us about how that's the biggest problem, is that people in the shelters don't know how to read behavior, and they need to have better handling protocols. There's just no leadership there in the behavioral field. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
That is, wow. And Lori's in New York and down by Wayland, New York, down at the bottom of Finger Lakes down there. And she fosters Newfoundlands. Okay. She has Newfoundlands. But anyway, so is anything you want to add before we transition into our talking?
Nothing I want to add, Steve.
Okay. And this is going to be a very delicate situation because of people's emotions. So emotions can be a real bad thing sometimes, you know it, especially for the dog.
Mhm.
Well, obviously, 90% of the rescues out there are working on emotions. They get overwhelmed with things. They're passionate about things. They don't
Yeah.
put their brain to work. So, my recommendation is think 90% with your heart when you do these things. But you have
Yeah.
to literally put your mind on there. But we have to have some common sense. And because we are rescues and we know how to handle animals, doesn't mean everybody else can do that.
Yeah. So our topic tonight is behavioral euthanasia. I ran across a post, what was it, about a week or so ago, but apparently I don't know when it was originally posted. I actually reached out to the author and invited him onto the show, and one of two things happened: either my email was sitting in their spam folder, or they didn't trust us. Okay, if we're not here to bash anybody, we don't do that. Okay, but if a rescue sends an invitation to somebody that made a post like that, and they might get suspicious. But if you're watching the show, I sent them a link to where we do the show, and if you're watching the show, this is what it's about right here. Okay? Awareness, and that's what we want to do. We want to talk about the behavioral euthanasia because I need to learn about it. I've been working with the guardian breeds for 32 years. I've never euthanized one over behavior. Never had to, but we got a special breed. For those of you that own the guardian breeds, they're a special breed in all ways. Okay. So now Melody, on the other hand, she works with all breeds. Am I correct, Melody?
Yes.
All
Yes.
breeds. So I guess we can start. Where do you want to start, Linda? Do you have a comment you want to make first? Where the position statement of our rescue, maybe?
Well, anybody that knows me and knows our rescue knows that I don't euthanize for behavior. Never have and never will. Now, I know I get a lot of, sometimes grief over that from other rescues and people. I mean, deleted off their Facebooks and called irresponsible and all of those things. But, I guess my question is, I always want to say, dogs are euthanized for behavior, but who is assessing that behavior? Is, Mary, who comes into the shelter 2 days a week, that gets to say whether a dog lives or dies. I mean, that doesn't fly with me. I mean, if I have a problem with a behavioral dog, I'm going to go to an expert. I'm going to go to Melody. I'm going to go to Steve. I'm going to go to Roman. I don't have that qualification. And if I had 3 behaviorists tell me that, look, Linda, there's just no way that we're going to be able to rehab this dog. This dog is a danger. There's too much going on here. We can't fix this dog. I would even still say, I can't do it. See, I know me, and I know that I couldn't live with that. I don't want to make that choice. And I know as a founder of a rescue that I have to. I mean, I had a puppy euthanized because it had, heart defects that were so bad that there's nothing. I mean, the dog was seen by a cardiologist and I talked to him 4 times, trying to convince him that there was something that he could do. And this was a sick puppy and it was hard for me. If a dog has a problem, a behavioral problem, I need an expert. I need an expert to tell me that. I need someone that knows dog behavior. Who's making all these decisions for all these dogs being euthanized, you know, in rescues and shelters and humane societies? Who are these people? Where's your qualifications for that? You know what it is? They don't want to take the time, or they don't have the money, or they don't want to work with a behaviorist, or whatever the reason is. And then the excuse is space. I could put all that money into another dog that can be adopted, blah, 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 blah. I don't want to hear it. So that's where our rescue stands with behavioral euthanasia.
Melody, what have you have?
About it.
Melody,
Well-
do you share the opinion, or does yours differ in any way?
It's very similar, but it is a little different that we actually do put animals to sleep occasionally for behavior. It's usually if that behavior is can't be managed by our caretakers, who are, you know, pretty good behavioral consultants and are experts in their field and have managed dogs for 20, 30 years. So it's usually when the aggression has an abnormal component that makes us a little afraid or nervous, or, you know, and it's there's a lot of things that we go through before that occurs as well. And as we talked about earlier before the show, it's very rare. I mean, maybe one every other year to one a year at the most. And we're evaluating hundreds of dogs. If the
And
dog
Millie, do you
actually-
think that those one dogs that you euthanize every other year, do you think that's a possibility that there's some neurological issue going on medical wise?
we do,
Yeah.
but it has not been substantiated.
Sure.
You know, by a medical, you know,
Right.
like, you know, it's so hard to get a good diagnosis when it comes to that kind of stuff. But
Sure.
no, we definitely do think that it has more of a neurological or, you know, medical component to it.
Right.
A lot of times, if we get a dog into our own program that we actually take, it actually becomes the pet connection. It's kind of complicated with us because we work with dogs from other groups too. So we have to take their skill set and their funding into consideration. And sometimes we do take those dogs on into our program knowing that they're not going to be adopted, but we can't always do that because of space, you know, like,
Right.
you know,
Space.
space. I mean, it's the big thing for me as well. You know, I can only manage 30 dogs. So, you know, if someone comes to me tomorrow with a dog that I absolutely should take, I can't. I just can't. And so, but if a dog actually belongs to the pet connection and it has a fractious behavior where we feel like it's not really safe to adopt out, because it's crimes. I like to call it their crimes, because their crimes are too bad, you know, and so we decided that we are going to go ahead and rehab them, but we're going to provide them sanctuary permanently at the Beloit location. And I live at the Beloit location. I'm talking to you in the building where I have 25 dogs. So, you know, they're housed in a home-like environment here, so that we can get a better read and a better assessment on what those behaviors are. But my husband and I are the primary caretakers here, and we don't really have anyone else that takes care of the dogs because of the behavioral component. And if we feel that there's a safety issue that we might get bit in a severe way that we couldn't predict, then we start looking at, you know, behavioral euthanasia. There has to be several components that come into play there. Do you want to know what they are?
Yes, I do.
Okay. First of all, the dog has had to bite and break skin. You know, most of the time the dog is a multi-biter, you know, so they don't just bite once, they bite more than once. Most of the times those bites are level 3 to level 5 type bites. If you're using like the Ian Dunbar scale of bite, you know, just to put a parameter on those for this show. The size of the dog can show, you know, can play a part in that. Obviously, if the dog is a Chihuahua versus, you know, a Rottweiler, sometimes that can play a role in how we proceed. And then does the dog bite the caretakers? Does the dog just bite strangers, or, you know, like somebody who, you know, the vet, or are we at risk for substantial bites if we don't manage ourselves in a certain way. So those are the 5 things that we look at when we're considering behavioral euthanasia. We usually assess dogs for 3 to 6 months unless the behavior is really alarming. Like if we're like, wow, like we think that we're going to get hurt bad, that doesn't happen very often, but it has happened where we're just like, this dog is already multi-bit 3 other people, and we've had him for 4 weeks and we feel really unsafe. We have to double team him. We have to put in visual and barrier blocks. We have to, there's all these safety components. We have to do defensive handling. So that's very, very rare. In fact, I can only think of like one time that's happened like in the last 9 years. But usually a behavioral euthanasia is assessed here for at least 6 months.
Okay.
And then
before I bring Roman on his part of this, I have a question.
Yes.
Have any of the dogs that you had to euthanize, have you ever regretted? Have you ever gone, man, what happened here? Could I have done? Have you ever thought that?
Not usually.
Okay, good.
We're pretty thorough. I mean, I always go back over it in my mind no matter what. But then at the end of the review, I'm like, usually what I think, Steve, is like we waited too long. We took a lot of risk for ourselves. We took a lot of risk for our other dogs. Time
can have a big
and so so a lot of times it's that I look at. But not usually. We're, like I said, after the 6 months, we usually will have an outside consultant review the dog, and we operate as a team. So all 7 of my trainers are kind of like involved in this process. So they would know about it. And they would be, looking at the summaries and the notes, and we would have staffed that, what we call staffing that dog, which just means that we had a lengthy discussion about the behavior and what that trainer was, probably videos and,
I can respect all that.
Oh, absolutely.
Everybody does, and their process and their timing, and I can 1000% respect that as a rescue.
Yes, and we have
assessed in a couple of hours.
We have that protocol written down, and people who come into our group are told about it. And I think that's a lot of times that's a big mistake shelters and rescues make, is they don't have a set protocol for how they're going to handle a dog that they don't think they can handle behaviorally.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Roman. Now we got to remember, those of you that come in a little bit late, Melody, the Great Pyrenees and Guardian breeds are not her first breed that she works with. Okay, what is your primary breed? If there was
I started a long time ago with the Hurdy breeds. I only rescued border collies when I started. And I did frisbee and agility and, that kind of stuff. And I rescued aggressive border collies that had been abused, neglected, usually trauma type cases. I gradually just, now I have one border collie here, but just by accident. And now I do. I mean, most of the dogs here are mutts, definitely not. I think the border collie is probably the only pure dog that I have here. Everything else is a mixture of whatever they're a mixture of.
Yeah, and rescues like that. I mean, we can't say that this is a purebred dog because, we don't know. We can't support that. But I tell you what, that's an Akbash right behind Linda.
Right.
Really, a lot of times you can just tell because it's more than just appearance. It's also personality. All right. Sorry, Roman. I'm taking up your time here.
Yeah.
It's our time.
Our time. Roman and I, we kind of work together, if you may, and we kind of do things very similar. He goes more in depth in a lot of areas. He specializes in trauma-driven behaviors. Okay, and I got a lot of respect for him. Now it's your turn.
Okay, there's nothing left to talk.
All right, moving on.
First of all, I appreciate Melody for doing what you're doing. I used to have in the past couple of years back a foster training system for aggressive dogs. I used to work with, let's call it dominant breeds. I hate that term, but that's what's usually known. Presa Canario, Cane Corso, English Mastiffs, Bull Mastiffs. And that was my specialty. I don't know how I ended up with, I remember. I was invited to join a local event, which was Great Pyrenees Rescue. And I was like, let's check those out because I'm from Greece. And so we have these Greek herding dogs that are basically same herding dogs like the Anatolian, just a little bit bigger. And I was like, I want to meet one in person. I haven't met one Pyrenees in person. That's how I ended the group. That was like 13 years back. And that kind of captured me. All of a sudden, I ended up being Pyrenees, working more with guardian breeds. But I think um, all the Mastiff breeds, family dogs over 100 pounds, have one thing in common. They're usually guardian breeds in the mindset. So guardian breeds means I have a very intense sense of family and I have a very intense sense to protect my family because I am part of my family. So those dogs don't have this individuality that we expect from a dog. It's like, yeah, he's a dog. This belongs like a breed. They're very intellectually high in my ranking list. So they have I don't want to go too long here, but we need to see them as little people that have emotions like children have, like a 5-year-old, that have a sense
5-year-old,
of
yes.
that have sense of duty, that have sense of belonging. And so we don't give them those basic needs, then there will be behavior problems. And those problems Melody is dealing with are basically the result of this lack of proper care. The basics, like literally the baseline of this hierarchy of needs are not met, and the dog is being conditioned that he has to fight for himself because there's nothing else to help him. And those dogs have hard time to connect emotionally with other parties, so they don't have they have a basically a secure attachment trauma. And we know what happens with people with secure attachment trauma. They're not even able to make a relationship. They usually end up in a system and they'll never be able to get out. So I appreciate Melody for making let's call it, I'm sorry, my voice is falling apart, to having this trauma-informed sanctuary to recognize, hey, the dog is not just stupid. He has a trauma. And if can I help him with that trauma? Can I bring him back to normal? You can bring him back to normalish because if a dog is being handled after he had trauma and this being addressed after the dog is 6 months old, the chances you rehab completely is very little.
Right.
It's fine if you work with that dog before he gets 6 months old because you have this time frame until the emotional regulation is being kind of closed. But then you really have to have lots of tools to get the dog out of there.
But what do you feel about behavioral euthanasia, Roman?
Well, yeah, again, I will get there. The problem with behavior euthanasia is that oftentimes those people who make those decisions don't see the entire picture of aggression. They see aggression as a bad thing, and so they're talking about from a victim state of mind. If a dog shows aggression, there is a reason for that because aggression is very natural. Konrad Lorenz, not a colleague, but a landsman of mine, he's Austrian as well, said aggression is a tool to survive, period. So if a dog shows aggression in his mind, he thinks he's going to die. And then all this behavior he does, it's not because he feels good about it, it's because he doesn't feel good about it. So we have to see that concept before I put the dog into euthanasia. Do I cover the mind, thought, like the thought, the emotion, and the triggers? Am I aware of it? And if I'm not aware of it, then I will not be able to make that choice. It would be unfair to the dog. Imagine people going to the hospital because they have a problem and being put to sleep because they have a problem. It doesn't make any sense. I do understand, though, that many veterinarians do not being able to do even an exam because that dog is not manageable.
Right.
But if I can get an elephant to a vet's office, I can get a dog to a vet's office. Like, we have to kind of put again common sense, but sometimes it's a cost problem. Oh, my vet doesn't come to my house, and I don't go to my vet. And the problem stays there. Then we call somebody to shoot the dog. So there are the euthanasia that we know about, and there are the euthanasias we don't know about.
Right.
And then we have the secret euthanasias where rescues basically outsource the euthanasia by moving the dog somewhere else. And then it's going to go hiding in the system somewhere. So I know many rescues don't euthanize because they want the charge high, and they just push it to another rescue, until the final rescue nobody knows about, and the dog is gone.
Right.
So I say behavior euthanasia, and I've been at that point to make that choice, is because the quality of life of the dog is below zero. and the dog is not being able to feed himself. He's dangerous to himself and he's dangerous to his environment. And it's out of dignity to have the dog to be put down, not because of convenience.
Right.
Okay. And it's
Right.
an ethical question. It's not a technical question. So if you don't have the money, then make a charity, have people help you out. I cannot afford a trainer is not an excuse not helping a dog. Because I
Yes,
know
we
some
hear that a
trainers,
lot.
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
I know some trainers, I'm not saying any names, who would do it for free.
Yeah,
Not
we
free,
do. We train,
right?
we
But
train
on the other
fosters
hand,
and rescues for
Steve missed
shelters
that one
for free.
totally.
Yeah, and you do too.
I asked Roman one time, I says, geez, if you keep giving away all this free stuff, how are you going to eat? Do I need to send you
That is a good
years ago.
Great Pyrenees Rescue Montana. Unfortunately, most of the dogs that we get over 6 months old and quite a few show aggression that is concerning. Would love to have the list that Melody mentioned. Maybe
I can
Melody
send it to you. I have it in writing.
Yeah. she
That's
can
why
send that
Carol
to you.
mentioned that.
Yeah.
Yeah, she can send
Now-
it to you, Carol.
Now, Carol, I'm going to assume that some of these dogs that she's talking about, they're in a boarding facility that is understaffed. There's not enough of the rescues volunteers there because once again, they need volunteers too. Okay. And she's working a hard state that actually stepped up to the plate. Utah has fosters now. It does something. So if you talk and do it, come on, Missouri. Don't let Utah show you up.
Yes.
That's the 46th worst state in the country for animal welfare. Okay, state of Utah, Great Pyrenees is livestock, no rights. So,
And in general, in US, we're very far away from welfare.
yeah.
I know in settled countries in Europe, welfare is welfare. Here in
Right.
US, it's not welfare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now, don't get me wrong. I'm not downplaying what she's saying by any means. There's multiple reasons why the dogs can get aggressive there. So we have to assess that. And remember that form I sent you, Carol, to look at? There's your form. Do you agree? Do you agree, Roman?
Yep.
Okay.
So I think we should answer the question because some people may be kind of curious. So here's some. This is my little list that I have here, which is part of my program. So fatal trauma. The dog had such a severe trauma in his early puppyhood that stigmatized so badly that he doesn't trust the environment, and everything that comes from the environment is reason to respond with a killing response.
So he's
I'll
feral.
kill right. Not feral. I would say he feels so threatened from his environment because that imprint was so intense. For example, his mother wanted to kill him and he barely survived out of it. And so everything in his environment, the first imprint is kill to survive kind of thing, right?
Well, I
Then we
meant
have-
resembles failure.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
feral. Yeah.
Genetic memory. So some dogs, I'm not saying dogs have genetic predisposition to be aggressive, but sometimes in the breed genetics, there is genetic trauma involved that needs to be healed. And sometimes it pops up after 13, 16 generations. It just pops up and the dog has to deal with it. Then medical induced aggression, meaning is there's something going on medically, either internal underlying medical condition or an injury for medical treatment that can cause aggression. Then we have conditioned aggression, meaning is I'm teaching my dog to be aggressive because A, I want to make money over it, and B, I hire somebody to make my dog aggressive to be triggered by easy triggers. For example, somebody passes my yard. So if that dog ends up in the system, this is dog who has basically complete reverse morals and ethics. Then we have neurological aggression. For example, a dog has a medical and brain injury or let's say cancer or something, that all of a sudden his brain is falling apart and he doesn't even remember where he got up 5 minutes ago. Or he doesn't remember eating, or doesn't remember you, or he doesn't remember like Alzheimer. Dogs have Alzheimer too. And then we have relationship disputes that can cause aggression, like disputes, interfamily disputes in the dogs. I know some people will say, I know, it's a sibling aggression. No, it doesn't even exist. But anyway, these disputes that happen in the household for several reasons, that can cause aggression to the point that people try to intervene, try to make things better, and actually they screw things even more up, and this dispute becomes irregular domestic violence. And that can cause another sequence of stuff. And then we have food aggression. The dog is not being fed enough. So the dog is not feeding nutritional enough. The dog is not being properly fed or not fed at all. And that can cause aggression to the point that the dog thinks that every time he has a bellyache, he needs to kill somebody for it. But that's that trauma again. So basically, most of those reasons why I would say we can think about euthanasia, just thinking about it, if we have to clear out, if all those things are being cleared out. If there's
Yes.
one point that's not cleared out, I still have my wife, she's a medical, she's energy healer. I even consult her in those cases and says, what's going on here? What is energetically going on? And sometimes we have turned dogs around that I had no chance to fix it myself. So even that is being considered. Energy work is a thing, and we can use that too. So Melody,
Well, I mean,
which
if you feel like your dog is exhibiting behavioral issues, aggression whatsoever, even with rescues, if you have a dog that comes in that's showing, aggression tendency, you're worried about it. The dog has a bite history. Don't make the decision to kill the dog. I mean, I don't do that. I would say I would never do that. I reach out to Roman. I reach out to Steve. I reach out to Melody. I'm not going to make that decision. I'm not going to make the decision in haste because a dog is acting a certain way and take its life. I wouldn't do that. I'm not going to do that. I would
and
never.
there's a stigma. There is
The
a stigma. And
unfortunate thing. Go ahead, Roman.
I want to just finish up. Stigma is one problem because one person said aggression. We multiply the aggression every time the dog is being adopted. Oh, he was
Yes.
aggressive before without
Yeah.
actually knowing it. So back to Melody.
What I was going to say is the problem that I see the most about behavioral aggression is the lack of skill in determining it. The notes are bad. The quantitative behaviors are bad. There's not been any efforts to counter condition anything to see if the dog has a response. The environment is so bad that you can't get a good assessment. There's no effort to do assessments in an environment that isn't like that. We have shelters building $1 million shelters, and they say things like, we don't have a space to do an assessment, or we can't. I mean, I know we're talking about dogs, but I also work with cats. And so, I just had a shelter recently tell me, we have to euthanize cats because we can't house them here because they're miserable. It's like, well, why can't we build a facility that can house cats? I mean, don't we know something about cat behavior that we can build a facility where cats can scratch and jump and hide? I mean, like, they're cats. We know they're going to want to do these things, but we build these facilities where the animals are in these cages where they're expected to behave in a certain way. And, just the whole arrangement of a shelter is bad. And we've actually tried I would love to talk to you more about building facilities, because the facility that I'm building right now is like the 5th or 6th one that we've worked on to try and structure our rooms behaviorally, so the dogs are in more normal housing situations and obviously act better because of that. And if you can simply change the room a dog is in and change their behavior, we have to look at what we're doing as an industry. We started out as kill industry. I don't know, 30 years ago we were killing everything.
Yep.
I mean, dogs got moved down the rows in shelter cages and everything got killed. We didn't worry about enrichment and exercise, but now we're housing them the same way and wondering why they're behaving in such a fashion. We have to really look at that design and try to stop being so trendy in our designs. I just see the same shelters being built over and over again, and that's not going to help the behavior of these animals. I don't know how you guys feel about all of that, but
Well, we're building a facility around our breed, not making
yes,
breed stuff into something already built.
I would just love to just hear about it. I think it would just be a great learning experience.
Well,
for me.
Breaking news was a little while ago.
I
when
know. I mean,
mentioned it.
but the design, I'd love to hear more.
Yeah,
about,
I'd love to talk
how
to you
you're
about
gonna,
that, Melody.
so that the dogs,
We
you're not
actually,
obviously going to build cages where they face this close together,
Why not? I don't understand that problem.
So,
I want everybody to know I got a text message that everybody's euthanized a dog. Well, not everybody, but some of you have euthanized a dog along the way. This isn't about you. This isn't about what you did. We're not trying to make you feel bad. Okay. We're trying to raise awareness and let you know that not all dogs have to be euthanized.
That's right.
And possibly cats. You got a problem with behavior on a cat, talk about it.
If you have
The
a
only thing
behavioral
I
problem
do-
with your dog, reach out.
Reach out. Yes. Okay. And you've got Roman in Oregon. You've got Melody in Kansas. And I'm nowhere.
Well, I work internationally. And I'm not just local.
Oh, that's right. Well, I'm just physical
Yeah,
location.
yeah.
Roman has a healing center, right? It's not completed yet, right?
No,
But
I mean,
but-
one office, like my dog's kennel that I'm working with, is a 120 square foot office. But
right.
everything is in there, plus a doggy door. So that's a kennel. So if I
Right.
cannot bring a
Yes.
dog in a home-like environment, how can I do the assessment?
Well, we're building, hoping to build a kitchen, living room, mock-up, obviously, but so there's going to be some of it's going to be functional, and where the dogs can be exposed to this. We can learn things. We got to learn things about the dogs we have.
Well, how can I assess a dog barking at the TV if I don't have a couch and a TV?
That's right.
Right.
Absolutely, and that's what
Yes.
this is about. That's,
Yes, our dogs
And-
have kitchens and living rooms, and
So
I
now
love
that
that.
you know that Great Pyrenees Rescue in Missouri is getting a facility, and now we know that this thing's getting more expensive now.
Now we know where to donate.
If you want to donate, please make a note. If you want to donate to the facility, that's what the donation's for. Because
Yeah.
every penny goes to the dogs. It has to be targeted.
Right.
So if you decide to do that, and we will be asking for donations. Linda, just when she started saying that, I thought, okay, cool. All right, here we go. Cat's out of the bag.
It's been
No-
2
no
years
pun
in the
intended.
making, Steve.
I'm sorry.
right.
I said it's been 2 years in the making.
This it has, and I'm glad that that you've got help already, because I'm not going to be a kennel. I don't want to be a kennel manager. I want to physically work with the dog.
helping.
That's you. Yes, thank you. Boss me around all you want, because I'm not going to listen.
Right.
I'll just get
That's my wife. Thanks for coming on, Roman. Appreciate that. I couldn't wait for Roman's input, because he has a way of delivering the message better than I do, because
Yeah, I get too passionate about it. And Roman started talking about, all the emotion behind it. There's so much emotion
Right.
for me
Yes.
behind that. I have them in my rescue.
yeah. And
Well,
I
for
would
those-
love
have
to
those
see Melody too. I
And
wanna
for
go-
those people who think that everybody is a saint, well, I had to put 2 dogs down because of euthanasia, behavior euthanasia, and I regret one. Why? Because I wish I had the skills that I have now to make the judgments back then. I
Yeah.
would not make that call at all to start
Right.
with.
Right.
So we learn, and we should learn from it and not just forget about it.
hmm
Right.
Right. Right.
We may have to pick this subject up again at a later time.
Yeah. And this
Because-
show was not made to make anybody feel bad for euthanizing and euthanizing a behavioral dog. I mean, it's just for me. I hope that time never comes for me, because I just, knowing myself, I couldn't do it. I'd be looking for a sanctuary in, I don't know, Timbuktu, somewhere for that dog to go to, because it would be very hard for me. But I also feel that myself, I'm not qualified to make that decision.
Right.
And that's why I reach out to the experts.
Well, I think that's what everyone needs to do. They need to, bring in the resources that are going to help them with that. You see so many that are euthanizing, they're calling it behavioral euthanasia, but it's more nuisance behaviors,
That's
know,
right.
jumping
Yes.
up, scratching them, bopping them in the face, barking, so we, just to clarify that the behavioral euthanasias that we're doing are serious aggression
Yes.
where the dogs might hurt a person or an
Yes.
animal, but most likely a person. So, and
So,
I think sometimes you just
absolutely.
have to quantitate everything because it's just so willy nilly right now.
Right.
I love your terminology.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Mid-
they're awesome.
Midwesterner.
I am a Midwesterner.
So,
And-
Steve, do you mind putting the website so people can reach out to us, so people can
Yes.
actually,
I don't
because
know.
people are like, well, I would like to help, but I
You're on the
couldn't remember
team.
the
You
email.
could have put them up too.
I'm not
make
so
me
quick.
do
I just barely made it my stuff. I don't have the link of our guest today.
Yes, I know. I know.
And just know these people, Melody, Roman, Steve, they do help rescues too. Rescues, you don't have to euthanize your dogs. Don't make that assumption, or don't make that decision to euthanize that dog without reaching out first. And I'm speaking to my fellow rescues. Please do that first.
Right.
And many shelters don't have even a system to evaluate the dogs. We can actually help you through a screen, through a camera, give you a couple of exercises so we get a better picture to tell you, hey, you know what? You're right. It's a really difficult case. That dog needs to get out of there. Or, you know what? It's simple. That's the breed. And like, oh, really? Some people don't know things. It's simple as
Roman
that.
showed me a way to do things that I hadn't known until I met Roman. Technology. Before I met Roman, man, I had to go to I had to be there in person. And Roman showed me there's another way. Just like I try to show there's another way. Okay. If you're not getting that message through to the dog, stop doing it. And let's back up a second and let's move over a little bit. Let's reevaluate this, because for some reason the dog's not receiving it properly.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes it takes maybe half an hour to convince the dog that what he thinks that he wants to kill is wrong.
That's right.
And you're like, oh, I thought you were one of those. And you're like, no, I'm not.
Now, I will say that we got an easy breed. Okay. I've been working with this breed exclusively for 32 years, and I've never even used a clicker. I'm not qualified to use a clicker. Okay.
Did you just call our breed easy?
That is not.
Yes, I did. Once you make the connection, once you build that attachment, this breed will bend over backwards wanting to know what you want.
The breed is easy. To learn the tools is not easy.
That's correct. So that's why I probably never had to do any euthanasia. I've only the guardian breeds. They're smart. Roman hit the nail on the head. They're extremely emotionally intelligent. Okay.
I know someone had asked earlier, what's the most euthanized breed? I mean, I don't know that answer, but if I had to guess, I'd say maybe the pit bulls are most.
Yeah, I don't know that answer
Everything
either.
that looks like a pit bull. Everything that looks
Exactly.
like a pit
That's what I was just going to say. And that's not probably a very good.
There is no clarity.
Right. There's no clarity on that. Who gets to decide who the breed is?
Mhm.
The same people doing the assessments.
Yes.
And everybody, that if you have your vet saying that you have to euthanize your dog over behavior, please get a second opinion.
Yes,
and then
because
a
a vet
third,
is
and
not
then a
entitled.
fourth.
Yeah, from a behaviorist.
Let's try a behaviorist next time. Yes.
With all due respect to veterinarians, I have like 4 or 5 very good veterinarians that I always refer to.
Yes.
Everybody should stick to his specialty.
Yes.
I'm not making health assessments. I can make only health suggestions. I always refer out to a veterinarian or veterinary field. And if a veterinarian has done 30 years of, let's call it, animal training or veterinary training, doesn't make you a specialist on behavior.
That's right.
Right? Because you have to admit that the reason dog is aggressive is you. And that's a conflict of interest.
Yes.
Okay, and let somebody else make the decision.
For those of you in the Kansas City area, there's the address to Melody. Now what's that town, Melody?
Lenexa.
Is that closer to Kansas City, where they don't have to drive 4 hours?
Yep. No, just a few minutes away from Kansas City.
Oh, and by the
20
way,
minutes.
4 hours away.
Just because we have the address there, it doesn't make you okay to go and tie up dogs there, because they're all over cameras.
That's right. That's right. Those of you that I've worked with your dogs, and some of you have said, "Can I just send my dog to you?" I says, "No, I have a good companion dog right now." Well, I want him back. Well, then don't send him, because we don't need to do that. Okay. You are your dog's best trainer, the parent. This is parenting. Okay. And once they understand what the dog understands, we do it from their perspective, their parenting skills change for the better, just so you know.
We have to keep the people parenting power back.
Yes.
Training and behavior modification usually takes it away. It gives the power to the trainer and the
To the
behaviors.
trainer. Yes.
It's
Right.
kind of like having a family with 2 children, and we put all the power into the therapist,
Right.
and he walks away with it. No.
Yeah. And I have a joke, and trainers out there, this is just a joke because you guys have jokes about behaviors too. I know you do. You just don't tell us. I tell people I'm not a trainer. I don't teach tricks. We heal behavior. Okay. And we need trainers. Absolutely. We need trainers. Okay. You're not a behaviorist without being a trainer. At least I don't think. I can't be. Right. But yet, you can be a trainer. You don't understand the behavior, the science, and whatnot of it. Okay, unless you study it. All right? One dog's not going to show you. That's why I'm breed specific, because I'm not good at this. Right. I'm good with one breed.
And another thing very important, just because I'm driving a Honda car for over 30 years doesn't make me a Honda mechanic.
That's because Honda never breaks down.
You ruined my whole example.
I know. I'm sorry, because I have a Honda. All right. I like my Honda. You meet the nicest people. Oh, that's the
So
motorcycle.
you know what? You know why we like Hondas? Because we fit so many Pyrenees in there.
That's right.
I bought a Honda because all the measurements made me have 3 crates in the car.
For some reason, we're keeping everybody's attention because they're still there.
Yeah. I completely think we run out of content here, guys.
You know what? It's
Yeah,
definitely
and you
it's,
guys can come.
it's definitely the dog that keeps the attention because I see everybody's eyes being on the dog, not on us.
It's Rue. And by the way, I want to throw this out there for you folks. Everybody, all 8 destinations that we're streaming to. If you want to come up here on the show and ask Roman a question in person, well, kind of face to face, we have the ability to do that. Nobody's had.
Right there, she will sit, right?
Who you talking
You
to?
love the hell out of Roman. I do.
To the person who will sit next to me and can ask the question.
That's right. That way you don't have to type it.
Right.
Because number one, you can't train a dog behind a computer, behind a keyboard. Because when somebody asks me a question, sometimes I've got 8 or 9 questions that I need more information to just be able to answer the first question with general knowledge.
I don't want to be a party pooper. You can always ask the questions for free, but with a donation, you definitely get the answer.
That's right. This is Rescue. And thank you so much for coming on, Melody. Can we have you back on? Linda, is she allowed to come on?
Yes, she is
Absolutely.
absolutely invited back.
We're going to try to set it up. Maybe even if she agrees to it, we can stream to her page too. I
That
think
would be
we
awesome.
are on this show because I put the YouTube there, but she put the Facebook. So I think we're streaming there somewhat. Not
Okay.
sure. But it's not a guarantee. The only way to guarantee it is we add it as a destination and we do it. So,
Absolutely.
well, I'd love to be able to come visit your facility, one of your facilities.
Yes, please,
I
please.
know.
And I would like to see how you are set up because
I would like to
built
see
quite
that
a few.
too. Get some
Yes,
ideas.
you're
Roman built a
welcome.
healing center.
We have an apartment on site, so you can come and stay, and you can bring your dogs.
Just
So-
and that's what Roman does. When you send the dog to Roman, you're attached.
Right.
You got to stay with your dog because once
Right.
again, you are your dog's best trainer.
Yep.
because
A
we
lot
work
of
with
ours
the-
just
with the
don't have
family
owners,
system.
or we would recommend that for sure. But a lot of ours are just homeless, so they belong
Wow.
to various humane societies. So
All right.
Well, that's
Wow.
great.
So what a show. And it's not, we didn't even tip the iceberg. And those folks with the people that authored the blog, the offer, I would love to have you on. Okay. I don't know if they didn't trust us. I mean, if I was somebody that put a post out for behavioral euthanasia, now keep in mind this post was helping them to see if the decision like that had to be made. That's how I took it. All right. But it still got put out there and got misunderstood because now I'm starting to hear, is my dog a candidate for this? No, your dog's never even bitten himself, let alone anybody else. All right.
Well, every
What?
dog is a candidate to have a chance to heal.
Mhm.
Yes.
And it will be unbelievable when one day we die and this dog showed up and is like, You remember a little chat we had, and I tried to tell you, and you didn't listen to me. Hi.
What do you think is the delivery method, Melody? I love it. Anyway, wow. We are going to have to touch back on it. I hope those folks reach out and or reply, because I invited the authors of that article onto the show, not to bash them, to learn things and make awareness. Everybody that watches this, they know that we try to give out the best information we know how.
Well, we educate, but we also like to be educated.
That's right. There you go.
That's why we reached out, and me, I mean, my rescue, we just got our head in the clouds and we're irresponsible, but that's us, and that's who we are, and that's where we stand on this. But I do love learning all I can by experts, because that's how we grow as a rescue. So yeah, by all means, if they would like to join, we would love to hear what they have to say.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Oh, we love it, Melody. Thanks for joining us.
Melody, just reaching out. I know you have a great team, but you know what? Having a crazy guy from Oregon, you never know.
Yeah, our team could always get bigger. So yes, I'll probably reach out to you. Absolutely.
Oh no! Well, wait a minute. You're supposed to come to Missouri, St. Clair. Where she's at is nowhere near St. Clair. Roman, I'm not getting any younger here. Okay?
Closer than where you are now, though, Roman. If you're in St. Clair, you're closer to me than you are now.
Yes.
See, they're fighting over you, Roman.
Yeah, I know.
All right.
A fun insert. I used to stay in Austin, and so I did a lot of work with IPA, Austin Pets Alive, and Austin Shelter. So the manager of the facility actually did a speech for American Pets Alive, and everybody was like, "Yeah, we work with this amazing trainer with amazing work, blah blah blah." I was like, "You didn't even mention one time my name." Like, oops.
Yeah, they did. Your name is amazing. Just look it up.
Like, okay.
They just knew who you were, Roman.
No, they didn't. It's our luck. Sometimes we have to work in the background as good as possible. But yeah, that was the funny part.
People are starting to flee. We're not holding
right.
long. We've been on overtime.
We
for
are
20
way
minutes.
over time here.
We're way over time.
Yes.
It turned fun because this was our wind
show.
down.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very, very emotional subject for me anyway.
It is emotional.
And we want to reiterate that Great Pyrenees Rescue of Missouri doesn't support behavioral euthanasia, because when you have behaviorists from all corners at your fingertips, you've got other options than a lot of people. And plus, we do have other options over and above that also, without the dog having to die.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay? Melody has some options. Okay. Mm-hmm. And as you build things, the options for the dogs increase. You may never have another euthanasia over behavior. Medical, that's a whole different story. We're not even going to bring that up. That's a different show with.
Well, even that I have a solution, because I'm working with a veterinary homeopath. He doesn't even need to touch the dog.
Right.
Like we even that covered.
And I've read something on yours, Melody, that you do. You work with some homeopathic people.
We do.
Practitioners.
We do, and we always have. We've done a lot of T-touch and wraps, and for calming. We have an energy worker. I think that she mostly does Reiki, but she has another practice that she does as well.
Roman married an energy worker,
right? And we do a lot of other things naturally that that others wouldn't do. Yeah.
Okay. Well, on that note, we're going to end it. I just have one last question for Roman. You can send me a message for the answer. How did you guys meet? Did she do the energy and kind of draw you?
No,
in?
We met actually on Reconnective Healing event in Austin.
That's what I was talking. I knew this.
Yeah, she came to that event, and I love the guy that actually did the event. So because I had done Reconnective Healing on myself a couple of years back, a great opportunity, right? And so their guys who promised to bring dogs for the seminar didn't show up, and here I come.
Wow.
So I brought 3 or 2 lunatics, and they were able to flatten these dogs out in less than a minute. And I was like, I like that. I need that.
Yes. All right, everybody. I will put links to Melody's
Yes.
facility in the comments. I will do Roman's also because I don't want him to feel bad. I'm kidding. All right. Roman and I have known each other for a while. So everybody, next week at 8 p.m. Central Time. That's funny for me to say because I'm in Eastern Time Zone. But next week. Till then, bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.